Arthaus. Recording. This is Arthaus. Today we are with Heal Thyself 15. Welcome to the very first, or second, SUPERCAST. Yeah, I call it the second because yesterday I had a surprise cast with Soul Bra. We just put it together the last minute. Things worked out. So today was supposed to be the first SUPERCAST, but you guys are getting two because I just love you that much more. So, Heal Thyself. Do you want me to call you Heal Thyself, JP? Like what?
Just call me JP. That's easier to say. Heal
Yeah,
Thyself
yeah.
is a mouthful.
So Heal Thyself 15. I need mana. I need backup.
Yeah, JP is fine.
All right, cool. So, JP, first thing I want to talk about is raw milk because you are a proponent of raw milk nationalism and probably raw egg nationalism as well. And I kind of get it because, questioning everything is kind of in right now and questioning pasteurization is probably pretty big. But at the same time, I don't get it at all. I don't get why the benefits are there compared to pasteurized milk. So, break that down for me, brother.
Yeah, you just cut out for a second, so I only caught the end of what you were saying. But raw milk, obviously I'm a big proponent. It's a big part of my feed, and it's gotten very popular. I cannot claim that I was one of the OGs of raw milk. I started drinking raw local milk probably around a year ago. And this was in Illinois, so it's illegal here, so I had to find a guy. Mm-hmm. And it was actually quite the process. It's like, I made the analogy, it's like hunting down a drug dealer. It's actually harder than that. There's so much risk involved, and I don't think people realize that for raw milk producers in states that it's illegal. A lot of people go to jail for a long time. So I have a lot of respect for those guys because they believe in what they're doing. They don't want to sell pasteurized milk. I think raw milk is great. I'm not going to get into the science and nutrition, and there's accounts out there that are way better for that. For example, Grimm's Apothecary, he tweets about raw milk a lot.
Grimm is the G. Grimm knows everything. It's ridiculous.
He tweets so much shit that I don't understand. I have to Google words every time he tweets. So he's way more knowledgeable about the nutrition of it than I am. So is
I'm gonna eat spinach today. And he comes in. Actually, spinach is high in oxalates and will kill you in 30 years if you do blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, all right, not doing that.
Exactly. He's schooled me quite a few times in a friendly way. I like him a lot. He's very knowledgeable, so I appreciate his work. Also, Veritas Not has a great article on the great milk pasteurization scam. So I don't get too much into science. I was really into that when I was first starting. Mm-hmm. And now I just drink because I feel great. I drink probably, I was like a quart of raw milk a day. Mm-hmm. But I just feel good. So I drink, like most people, pasteurized milk growing up. Mm-hmm. And as I got older, I got less interested in it because it was kind of, to me, like a childish drink. Made me break out. I didn't like the effects. It hurt my stomach. I don't think I was lactose intolerant per se, but it didn't sit well with me. Mm-hmm. And I've had none of those issues with raw milk at all. So I like it. I feel great. I think it's insane that it's illegal, but I'm glad that it's gaining popularity, and especially in our Twitter space. I know guys DM me all the time, like, hey man, where can I get raw milk in California? So
Sprouts.
It's cool to see it
Sprouts.
growing. Sprouts, yeah. Sprouts has good stuff. I went there for the first time probably 2 months ago. I got raw milk, raw cream, and raw kefir, and all of it was great.
Yeah. They have it's ridiculous how Sprouts has that. There's also a store Lazy Acres. There's a few of them. Lazy Acres has it. It's a really good like a health boutique grocery store, although it's massive. But yeah, I've tried raw milk, and I've had it twice. The first gallon I've had was really good. I didn't taste the difference between that and pasteurized milk, but I was like, this is really good. It's expensive, but it's really good. The second time I had it, it was bad, and I think I just got a bad one, but I was not. It had a weird taste, and
it was from the store?
Yeah, it was from Sprouts, same brand, and it got rancid really quickly, so I think that was just a bad batch. I'm not going to hold it against it. What I've started doing recently is drinking goat milk. And
goat milk is great. I've gotten local pasteurized goat milk in Northern California.
Goat milk is insane.
It's very good.
I'm blown away by by goat milk because at first I thought it was going to have a strange taste, and I was kind of, I drink cow's milk all my life, but it just started making me break out, just getting fat and bloated and gross feeling.
Yeah, it bloats people for sure.
Yeah.
Goat kefir is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
You ever get a chance to try that?
I've tried kefir, and I like it. I think I should drink it more consistently, but I do like it. But I've started putting goat milk in everything. Like my shakes, just drinking it with every meal, and I have no reaction to it whatsoever. Nothing.
I think it's better for us too. I've read that it's closer to human milk, like chemically.
I'm gonna butcher it, but yeah, there's a casein protein inside of it that digests much better with humans. And then I watched a video, and it was benefits of goat milk, and it was just this woman in a barn with her hugging her goat, and she's all smiley, and she's like 10 reasons why goat milk is better, and then she just goes through and just destroys cow milk, and I'm never gonna drink it again because
she's the person you want to listen to for health advice.
Yeah,
old babushka woman.
Yes,
in her 80s, but she's still working out. She's still spry. She's milking the goats every morning.
Yes,
I trust her.
I trust her more than 40-year-old obese sickly doctor giving me pills.
Absolutely.
Now, are you doing raw egg nationalism too?
I do the raw egg thing. I have a hard time just slurping them down or slonking them down. Excuse me. I do them in shakes. So I'll do 2.5 cups of raw milk. I'll do 6 raw eggs, and then I'll add a little bit of cacao for flavor. And it's pretty good actually. Put a lot of cacao in. I put some honey in for sweetness. I like it.
Now,
I have a hard time just taking eggs raw.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, so last night I went downstairs and I realized, like, all right, I don't have any. I can't make a protein shake right now because I'd have to just mix it in water, and I'm not gonna do that. I have like nothing, no like meat protein right now, so I grabbed some eggs. I didn't want to cook them, and I just put it. I read somewhere, I think Grimm said, like, put it in orange juice. And I didn't have orange juice, so I had this orange peach mango like cocktail thing. I poured it in that. I put 4 eggs in there, and I made this little drink. And I was just sitting in my kitchen late at night, like, why am I doing this? Like,
was it good? I mean, what did it taste like?
It was
mango, orange raw egg.
It was good. Like, you don't really taste the egg. That's the thing. You don't.
Was it blended?
I just put it in a cup and did it with a spoon like this.
Okay.
If I blended it probably would have been like way better. But what happened immediately after was my stomach started to hurt, and I didn't really have a bad reaction past that, but I realized that that's happened to me twice now with raw eggs, and maybe I should just not do that because I eat cooked eggs all the time, every single day. Loads of cooked eggs, but raw eggs just don't sit with me well.
Yeah, I've had the same experience. It makes me have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I've had like 8 in one sitting before, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go. So
I legitimately think I
would not do that before, like, going out in public.
Or anything. No. I legitimately think, like, the guys are like, I drink 24 raw eggs. Like, no, you don't.
I don't know. Actually,
you think so?
Some guys might be doing that.
You think so?
I think raw egg nationalism is real. I think guys are really pounding that many eggs.
Oh, I don't doubt that raw egg nationalism is real. I think that, like 24 eggs for one meal.
There's that quote that was going around. You probably saw it. It was a picture of a bodybuilder, Vince.
Is this Vince Garanda? That thing?
36 raw eggs a day is the same as a cycle of Dianabol. I think that made me want to do 36 raw eggs a day. So I think guys are really doing it. And that's an awesome. I don't know who tweeted that. That's a fucking awesome tweet.
I want to. If that was true, like they should honestly. Here's the thing, bro science. I tend to believe bro science more than I believe real science because it's much easier to just go out and replicate and see for yourself. But there has to be a company called like Bro Science Inc. or something like that, where they actually do like good, structured, double-blind, scientific tests for these bro science memes and confirm them. Done by like real.
I think the bro science network is decentralized. It's everybody, all the bros on the internet are contributing to the bro science community.
Crowdfund it then.
I agree with you. Bro science is 20 plus years ahead of peer-reviewed science.
Like, what if we just had what if like we just make a site? It's like hypothesis: raw eggs boost testosterone, and then you just get like 1,000 guys to just drink 10 raw eggs a day, and then you just measure their tests before and after. And then scientists would be like, but the method's wrong, but this, but that, but blah, blah, blah.
If it was actually good for us, it'd be covered up.
Yeah.
They would lie about it. They would, pervert it somehow and make it a half-truth. So
that's what I've noticed so much is that so much is just, so much is perverted, So much is perverted. Cortez had a tweet the other day where he was looking at the totality of modern health advice, and it just makes no sense at all.
It makes no sense. I think there's so many interests financially that it's so hard to know what to trust on the internet. Like raw milk, for example, you can find people like us, like me, like farmers saying that it's phenomenal, it's amazing, makes me feel great. Other people are convinced it'll give you diseases, it's dangerous, and that goes for everything, from raw milk to cigarettes to whatever. You can find an argument that supports whatever you believe on the internet. I think it's very hard for people to discern what's true and what's not true.
Especially if they're not actively trying. Yeah, exactly. If they're not actively trying things themselves, having an n equals 1 mindset, they're you're doomed to literally just be wading through arguments and counter arguments the rest of your life.
Totally. And everything is n equals 1. You have to experiment on yourself. You have to give things a try. I think trusting people on the internet, there's so many people that write reviews on things. YouTubers write reviews on supplements, products. I think more often than not, you're better off just trying it. Obviously, be smart. Don't do stupid things or things that are clearly not good for you. But
yeah, we are not advocating that you drink bleach. We are not advocating that you drink bleach here.
Yeah, no bleach, but I think there's a lot of alternative health methods that are, covered up for financial reasons primarily.
Definitely, yeah. Just trace the source. Who's paying who to say what. There's always
Exactly.
The whole game is incentives at the end of the day, and you got to figure out. And honestly, too, a lot of like the alternative health, esoteric health people, like they have incentives too. Like they have their own things they want to sell. They have their own like cures they want to push and whatnot. So you have to just you have to double check everything, even if it is a trusted source. Like even when Grimm said something, I like mostly take his word, but I also do some research myself to be like, because I'm just more interested in like seeing, seeing the actual data of how it works and seeing some other like backup science to what he's saying, and then I confirm it for myself, and then you learn.
Absolutely, as it should be. Yeah, should verify everything.
Yeah, a lot of people just take it in, but they don't think about it, and they don't try to go out and disprove it, which I think is an issue.
Right.
A lot of conspiracy stuff, and a lot of like esoteric stuff, they'll be like, this is happening definitely, and then you read it and you're like, okay, this is happening, but you don't go, wait, does this person have an agenda? What is this person's track record, right? Where is this person getting the information? There's so many nuances that you have to fully break down. That the internet's great. It's a great wealth source of information, but there's way more shit than there is shine.
You're totally right. I think ultimately though, there's so many topics, one, and also two, like sources of information on those topics that if you try and weigh everything, it's just information overload. So at the end of the day, you have to take a stand and, I think be firm in what you believe in terms of health, your worldview, religion or whatever, and then adjust as new data comes out, as you change as a person. But I think there's so much nuance to all of these topics that I'd rather just take a stand and say, okay, if I'm slightly wrong here or there, I don't really care.
Yeah. Ed Lattimore said it, hold strong opinions extremely loosely, because then you're like oriented, right? you're oriented, because if you hold weak opinions, then like you're just loosey-goosey. But if you hold strong opinions on how the world works, but you're totally open to having things change, you're totally open to being completely wrong in everything, then you win both ways. You're oriented and you're flexible.
I think that's very well said by Ed. Totally.
Yeah. You want to be like a river, right? The river is not a straight line. A river has bends. A river has curves and whatnot. A river speeds up in some areas. It slows down in other areas. You got to be able to go with the flow. Now, we talked about diet right there for a bit. Do you have any, like, are you pretty standard with your training in terms of going to the gym, or are you like do you have a bit more esoteric edge to that?
No, I'm pretty standard, especially right now. Like my workouts consist of sprints and like body weight workouts in the house. I did get like a little home gym system with resistance bands.
Mm-hmm.
Still TBD if I like it, but it's doing the job for now.
Mm.
I mean, historically in my life, I've always been an athlete. So I was a sprinter in high school and college, and I played football as well.
Mm.
So really just lifting and running were my two things. I got into mixed martial arts a little bit in college per the advice of people on Twitter. I'm like, dude, all my friends are doing mixed martial arts. I had some buddies in college doing it. So I joined a jiu-jitsu gym that was like a hole-in-the-wall place in St. Louis, ran by some ex-UFC fighter. It was really cool. It was like $50 a month. It was dirt cheap. It was good training. There were some cool guys there.
Yeah.
I did it for like 4 months. And I was okay, but then I moved to Europe for a while and I just stopped. So my training's been since graduating high school and like kind of in and out of sports, trying to figure out like what am I going to do now that I'm not like on a team. I was on a collegiate team for a while and it was like organized workouts, but now I'm just standard lifting, running. I'm big into like saunas. I actually have a sauna in my house to try and use every day.
Really?
So, yeah.
House sauna?
I do. So I'm at home with my parents right now for the duration of quarantine, and they got a sauna. It's not that expensive. It's a one-person sauna. I think it was like $3 or $4 grand back when I was in high school. So it's lasted a long time, and it's awesome. It's not quite as effective as like a charcoal sauna that gets up to like 180, 190. I mean, if I'm sitting in one of those, I can last for like maybe 20 minutes before I'm like, shit, I gotta get out. With one of these, I can do like 40 minutes, and I go in there. There's a light. I can read pretty comfortably. I listen to podcasts, and I break a good sweat, and then I take a cold shower, and it's nice to have that in the house.
Dude, that sounds sick. That legitimately sounds sick. So are you a guy that does like the Joe Rogan like 230-degree like hardcore sessions, or do you kind of like do you prefer the do you prefer to be in there longer at a slightly lower heat, or do you prefer to like try to max yourself out every time?
You know, it maxes out pretty low. This one gets up to 140, which is not that hot.
Yeah.
It's infrared.
Okay.
Infrared sauna. Yeah. So I do the ball tanning exercise. I'm not sure if that boosts T or not, but I try it regardless.
Red light therapy is apparently amazing. So.
Well, I've been doing it. So I go in there and I stand next to the light. So we'll see.
That's
N=1 study on myself right now.
Hey, N=1 right there. Perfect. Perfect implementation.
Regarding the extreme temperatures, I've never had the opportunity to do a sauna that hot. I think the hottest I've ever been in is like 190. The cold therapy stuff, I'm interested in doing the cryo tanks where they go like minus 250 or whatever. I've never done that, but I'm certainly interested in doing it. It sounds cool as long as it's safe. I think it'd be cool to try. Yeah,
my girlfriend actually, she just got a job working with these cryo people. Like they're doing like cryotherapy. They have like a gun that you can like shoot and burn off fat, and then you go in a tank and you basically it just all inflammation just goes away. I've tried it once. It's pretty legit.
I'm sure it's a good industry to be in. Like I from what I understand, a lot of professional athletes are getting involved with that.
Oh,
I'm sure collegiate athletes as well.
I think
that's gonna be the future.
It's gonna be the next big thing, and I already think just from anecdotal evidence and just from seeing pictures and from trying it myself, like it's not one of those weird like bunk science things that is gonna peak for like a year and then go back down. I legitimately think it's gonna be like a staple because the machines are just gonna get cheaper from here on out, and it's gonna be in every athletic company's best interest, or every strength and conditioning coach's best interest. Just after the workouts, just go in there for 2 minutes.
So you liked it? You saw benefits from it?
Yes, definitely. It's like a really high, like how I would describe it is, it's like a really high dose of collagen, but like very evenly distributed throughout your body. Like all the weird tension, like you can kind of see like this trap is tighter than this one. Like all that just felt so much looser. Knees, ankles, joint, all that just felt super lubricated, and like there was no issues. My shoulder's usually pretty bad, and that was perfect. It was pretty crazy.
What's the duration like? Is it like 10 minutes or something? 5 minutes?
It was only a few minutes. It was like 2 or 3 maybe. It was not that. Crazy. It was not that long. Yeah, and the other thing that they're doing at this place is, the tech wasn't explained to me yet because they don't have it yet. But it's like a thing that you wrap around your whatever part of the muscle you want to work, and you just do like a really basic motion like this. Like you just do a wrist curl. You like wrap it around your bicep right here, and you just do a wrist curl, and you're stopping the blood flow. So eventually it gets really, really, really hard to do that, and then apparently you take it off, and the hypertrophy is just insane from that.
Is it for muscle growth or recovery, or what?
It's for muscle growth. Yeah, it's for like hacking that process. I don't know if it's gonna work. I haven't seen it done, but if it does work, then sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, me too. That sounds cool. I'm sure there's going to be so many biohacking things that come out in the next 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to be amazing. The opportunities for people in first world countries and people with money, I think, is going to be amazing.
Biohacking is going to be the next big thing. Totally agree. There's just we're starting to see like the beginnings of we have like the foundation down of like we can do anything with this mindset, like David Goggins, Jocko Willink, and whatnot. And then we have kind of the fringe health with like Ben Greenfield and whatnot. And now I think
he's dope. I like him.
Yeah, no, he's cool. And now like I think things like breath work, I think things like this cold therapy we've been talking about, saunas, swimming, like cold showers, stuff like things like that. It's like in the next 5, 10, 15 years, that's gonna be like legit therapy health advice.
I absolutely agree. I think more and more Americans and people globally are waking up to the scam that has been big pharma, and just general health advice is awful, be it diet or exercise. There's so many ways to improve your health. Like sauna, for example, is cheap. There's a quote or an old proverb that says the sauna is the poor man's pharmacy. And that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a gym membership for cheap, hit the sauna every day. It's phenomenal for cardiovascular health, skin health. I notice a difference in my skin right away. When I do saunas every single day, I'm sweating. So I'm really
that's interesting. That's interesting.
The skin thing?
Yeah. No, it just made me think what if sweating is really good for your skin? What if releasing, obviously I'm just talking completely out of my big ass right here, but what if sweating is like really good for your skin, and the fact that we're inside, we're not exposed to the sun, and we're not sweating is bad, is hurting our skin health?
I'm positive it's bad. I mean, the fact that a lot of people don't have their system flushing out toxins and debris that gets stuck in their skin, I'm sure it affects people's their visible skin, but also their internal health, that things are not flushing through properly.
Yeah. Well, that's how I kind of think of the sauna. It's like the detoxer. You just sweat out everything. Like there has to be something to it.
Absolutely.
How long have you been how long have you had your training locked in? So like your diet, your exercise, and your recovery.
I think it's been a work in progress for years. I would say I'm necessarily locked in right now. It's still evolving, and there's things that I want to incorporate more into my workouts and my routine. I think it's like I said, my workouts have evolved as I've gotten older, and now I'm gravitating more towards weightlifting, not necessarily I did it before for football to bulk. Now it's more for just general health and aesthetics. Um, so yeah, I mean it's continually a work in progress. It's constantly changing. Right now, I keep things very basic. You know, I'll do 1 or 2 days a week. I'll do sprints. I'm not big into jogging. I might jog a mile. And cardio, I prefer to do. I used to do boxing, and I did Muay Thai for a little bit too. I prefer doing that or like real sports, like basketball.
Yeah.
I do not want to jog on a fucking treadmill for an hour.
Yeah.
And all respect to David Goggins, who is definitely an OG, but I have no desire to get on a track and run, 25 miles or something.
Yeah, I mean, part of Goggins' shtick is that it's like self-immolation. Like, he hates that part of himself. He hates that weakness so much that he's going to live his life around killing that weakness. And like, I just can't. I'm not gonna run that much. I'm not gonna run that much. Running to me is not how I want to spend my life at all.
I agree, and I also do kind of respect his attitude a lot, actually. I know he said things like, I did this exercise and it sucked, so I did it for 3 more hours. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. But I respect the fact that he's like, I'm going to kill that weakness inside of me. That's a good attitude.
Yeah.
I think he takes it, obviously, to an extreme that 99% of people can't handle and don't want to.
Yeah, it's good for him. Yeah, like, the principle itself is sound, but I think but he's an extreme figure. He is the extreme, and most of us are not the extreme in that field, right? So we should take the principle, but we don't necessarily need to go all that way.
I think guys like him and Jocko are a phenomenal testament to what's possible in terms of like willpower and leadership, and they're phenomenal to learn from. Even if you want to live, I would say, a less stoic life, they're very stoic guys. I don't think they indulge very often. I don't imagine Jocko and David going out like drinking with the boys or having a good night out. So you need to pick and choose what you do, and I think life, you should be enjoying things probably more than they are. But to each their own.
One of the things I remember with Jock, I think it was last Christmas. It was Christmas of 2019. Christmas of 2018. He was like, tonight I had 20 Christmas cookies. And then he's like, today I will kill my body. And he's just staring into the camera. And he's like, today, heavy squats to punish myself. Like, jeez.
It's funny, but I think he's being dead serious. He
is. He is. He's 100% dead serious. Have you, do you watch his podcast? Listen to it?
I used to quite a bit. I've kind of fallen off on podcasts recently. I used to listen to his podcast, Joe's, obviously. Recently, I have not, though. Yeah,
Joe's is boring unless there's an MMA guy on or like somebody I already kind of know. I don't really care. Like, when there's a comedian on, I don't care at all, or something like that. But
right, you gotta pick and choose who you listen to.
I find Jocko's cast, I think, is way better overall in terms of like the information and kind of the value you can get from listening to it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't listened to him in probably 2 years, so I can't comment on any of his recent guests.
Yeah, when he has a guest, he's good. When he's off a guest and he's just reading something, that's great too. I think the thing with his brand too is that like the clips that you can get on his site, like just like the little 15-minute parts of his cast, like those are all you need to listen to.
When those are edited really well, those pump me up for sure.
Yeah.
Like video edits of him, like he's an inspiring guy.
Big time. And the first thing that I realized with Jocko, or the first thing that made me realize that this guy's insane, is I was listening to one of his. He was on Joe Rogan. I listened to that. I was like, oh, cool, Navy SEAL guy. Oh, he lives kind of close to me. Oh, that's kind of cool. I went on his podcast, and the first thing he starts talking about is like these death squats, and it's where you find your 10 rep max and you do it for 20, and I was like, what? And he's like, and he was talking about like when you hit the 10, the pain is so immense, and then all you have to know is that that's only halfway done, and you have to keep going forward. And it just made me realize, like, wow, humans can do way more than what we're conditioned to think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a cool mental exercise to say, okay, this is what I think I can do. This is what I can actually do.
This is what I will do. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. Do you so wait, you said you were doing you did MMA for a bit, right?
I've done it sporadically. So I did jiu-jitsu and boxing in college for 4 or 5 months, and then I moved to Europe, and I was traveling, and I was having a good time, and I wasn't really
Yeah.
into it. And that was 6 months, and then I got back to the States. I did Muay Thai for probably 2 or 3 months, and I was into it, and then I moved again, and I've been waiting to pick it back up. I need to be more consistent. My problem right now is consistency and just finding a good gym that I like and going on a regular basis.
Yeah, my gym shut down right now because the Rona thing, obviously. I started kickboxing in January, and I love it. It's so sick. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Are you sparring with people, or is it just like bag work, or what exactly?
Right now it's just bag work because like they don't want to throw me in with someone, and either I get hurt or I just do something wild as fuck and then just break something, Right. So. Right, they want you to learn the which I think is smart. Like they want you to learn the fundamentals for 6 months, and then you can start getting whacked on. It was between either that or jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I want to get punched in the face, so I want to.
You want to get punched in the face.
I want to get punched in the face, so.
You want to feel alive. I like that.
Yeah, well, I haven't gotten punched in the face very much, especially as a kid. So I want to get punched in the face and beat to absolute crap, and then, learn from it, and then beat them to absolute crap.
I think it's a good experience. I remember Lobo on your podcast, he said something like the problem with Americans is that nobody's gotten punched in the face.
Yeah, that's pretty key. There's no reason to right now, and that's a problem. There's nobody has a backbone. There's nothing to dispute about. That's not like. Local issues you can't really deal. You can't duel people, right? You can't duel people. I think it's an issue. And I was talking with, mimetic value?
I do not.
Okay.
Maybe I do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you might see him. He's on here every once in a while. He's on Twitter too. We're in a group chat. He was talking about how we were talking about duels, and we were thinking like, duel doesn't necessarily mean duel to the death. Duel can just mean like I have a problem, you have a problem. Let's solve this by fighting, and then whatever happens with that, okay, cool, things resolved. And
I think that's how men naturally resolve conflict oftentimes, which I think is healthy.
Yep, totally. Like, you get in a fight, and then right after, you're like, all right, cool, bro, thanks. Yeah, see you around, bro. Like, all the anger's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten punched in the face from friends before for being a dick, and I think it made us closer, to be honest.
Yeah, because you realize right off the bat, like, okay, that was too far, and you readjust. You readjust your mental model of how you need to interact with these people, and how you need to carry yourself, and then you're not mad at them. Like I think a lot of people, like especially if you're in the feminized public schooling, you're taught to either tell the teacher or like use your words, right? And there's a place for that, but there's also it completely disregards, the boy's natural way of dealing with a problem.
Absolutely, and I think you made a good point that feminized public schooling, the school system is not in any way designed for boys in terms of how they learn and also how they deal with conflict.
Yeah.
I think what you and Lobo were saying about all male education, being around all males is a red pilling experience. I think the last experience for young men in America today is either high school sports to some degree, college fraternities, and like joining an MMA gym.
Yeah.
There's maybe the Army, I don't know. But there's very few opportunities for men just to be around other guys and to shit talk and beat each other up and drink together. Mm-hmm. That is a naturally red-pilling experience, and public schools don't have that. So I think a lot of boys are feminized.
I think, I totally agree. You're just not exposed to natural male order. I think if there was segregated schooling until like the last 2 years of high school, I think that could be cool, because I understand where Lobo's coming from, and he's much smarter than me and has much more life experience. So my word is nothing compared to his. But I think that if you you keep boys away, and then if you reintroduce them into the real world, like with girls, I think that could work, and they could find they could socialize really quickly, and they could find wives. But I think if you throw them in the high school environment with girls, that the last 2 years, like the psychological shaping that both of those groups will go through the last 2 years before they head off to college and their job will be ridiculous, because the girls would be like, holy shit, like real men, and then the guys would be like, okay, women, finally, like, and then since they haven't grown up side by side with them and forced to coexist constantly and like reduce themselves, then like the interactions will be a lot more healthy, a lot more natural, and a lot better overall.
You absolutely nailed it. I think that it's very hard to work in like the school environment when it's co-ed. It becomes a social game, especially in high school. I mean, those years, everyone's horny as fuck. Guys cannot focus in school. So if you had a school system where, guys are focused on actually learning, improving themselves as young men physically in sports or whatever, and then on the weekends focusing on other things. I don't know if all-male schools is the option. I didn't go to an all-male school. But
Yeah,
looking
me either.
back, I can totally see how that's problematic.
Mm-hmm.
It changes everything. It changes the dynamic because everyone is thinking about sex. It's always on people's minds.
That's the problem. And then the thing is too is that the chance of sex is so much more enticing than caring about this horrid schoolwork that you have to deal with, that there's no point. You either become like a super mega nerd and you become asexual, or you become like you're not as plugged into the process of learning as you could be.
And then they blame the boys for it too. They think it's like the boys' problem. It's natural when you're 16, 17, 18, you're around a bunch of young, cute girls. How the fuck can you focus?
Yeah.
So it's not at all the guy's fault. It's natural, and it's just something that needs to be understood and not demonized, which is what we're doing now. Like, they demonize young boys in schools who are dealing with, tons of sexual energy. How the fuck do you deal with that?
And then what happens too is like the nice kid, right? The nice boy, whatever you call it. Like I was one of those nice boys, right?
Right.
And I can tell you directly from experience, like you see the guy that gets C's, right? And you see the guy that like doesn't really care about school, but he's always with the popular girls. He's always with the hot girls, right? And you just see that, and then you just build up resentment. And then you have a bunch of guys that, think that life is over because, they couldn't get with a girl in high school, and then the resentment just keeps building and just keeps building.
Absolutely, and I think it's like you said, it's a traumatic experience for guys. It is like almost like a death type thing because your existence is like being rejected.
Mm-hmm.
All these other guys, you see them with beautiful girls. You're at that age, and you're like, "Fuck, why does anybody want me?"
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very painful experience. That's the whole incel thing that people on the internet keep talking about, and I think it has to be dealt with. I think the way to do it is, one, get red pilled, and then start improving yourself. Work on your body, work on your game, work on all those things to become desirable. And at the end of the day, maybe girls are the motivation to begin with, but it should be about, in my opinion, like a spiritual journey. Like, I'm going to become the best person I can be for me. And getting girls, getting money, those are things that are, physical manifestations of my journey as a better person.
Well, I think that, I think that boys are just underworked right now. Like, we're not, growing up, there was nothing for me to do. Like, and that's probably more my parents' fault, but like, there were no tasks, especially if you're not in sports. Like, there's nothing for you to do except just play video games and like fuck around.
Right. We have the internet as a babysitter all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think a lot of it's on the parents, and I think a lot of it falls on the males, the fathers, because they need to be the leaders. But it's been passed down through generations. So kids our age, young adults our age, and older probably didn't learn from their dads how to be good dads. There's a verse in the Bible where it says like the sins of the father are passed down.
Yes.
I think that's what we're seeing, like negligence from males just culturally is being passed down, and now we're seeing issues with the family and cultural issues because of that, weak males. Right,
100%. We see those. Yeah, there's a swath of weak men now, the sad part is it could have been fixed so easily. It could have been fixed so easily, just with some different schooling and just some introspection from the parents themselves. All of it could have been fixed.
Yeah, I think there are some easy fixes to put in place. I always felt from a young age that, we're lacking rites of passage. When I learned about other cultures, specifically indigenous cultures, as a kid, I saw that everybody had rites of passage for their young boys, and they were doing way harder shit at a younger age. Like the ancient Greeks were putting their 8-year-old, 9-year-old boys through really intense training and leaving them out in the wilderness, fending for themselves. And now we have guys who are 23, 24, playing video games, living at their parents' house, and the expectations have just dropped so dramatically.
A Spartan 13-year-old could rip the eye sockets out of any 30-year-old male in America right now, easily.
Those kids were savages. I mean, I forget the name of the training program that they would go through, but it was brutal, and I think a lot of kids died because it was a way to cull the herd and like eliminate weakness, and it worked.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying we should do that, but to some degree we need to.
Yeah, like there was a brutality, like it's a soft eugenics in that probably like could be debatably good or bad, but the essence of that where they're challenged, from an early age. They're challenged hardcore, and they grow up way faster. Like a 14-year-old in even like 1900, it was way, way more developed, way more polite, way more, mature than a 25-year-old today.
We've lowered the bar so much. You're right. You look at these historical figures who you think were, way older and mature, and they've already done all this stuff. Like Alexander, he conquered the world. He was like, what, 24? Napoleon was, 25. These were young guys, and they were doing, huge things and leading lots of people. And today we set the standards for our teens and 20s so low. So I think it's up to us to fix that, and the way to do it is through communities of boys. I think that, college fraternity system does that to a decent degree. The hazing process, I don't know if you were in a frat.
I dropped out college.
Okay. Good for you. I think college is a big scam, so I don't think that's a bad decision at all. But I do think the fraternity system for boys is a good experience for them to, one, get closer as men and understand that, going through adversity with other guys is a great way to get closer.
Do you think college is kind of a clusterfuck, though, in terms of, like, how it's organized? Because, like, looking in, looking in, I see how, like, from if you're in college, like, it's so sick how you can have these massive parties and have all these girls and guys together and you're all, like, attractive and horny. Like, I get how that can be cool. But at the same time, like, after 4 years of that, like, what is the person coming out on the other side? Like, what does that do? What does that do to people?
I think it leaves a lot of people with emotional problems and addictions. They didn't really do anything. Like, they have BS majors, they partied a bunch, they blew a bunch of money, now they have addictions and other issues. I think if you're smart, you do make connections and you meet good people. I think about it fairly often. Like, was it worth going to college? I did go there 4 years of college. I'm done now. But I met some great people. I made some good connections. I'm happy that I went personally, but I'm not sure that I would advise, kids in high school right now to go.
Well, tuitions from when you got out to now, tuitions probably have gone up like 30%.
Well, I'm only 22, so I don't know if it's that much. I graduated a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well, let's put it like so. Today or yesterday, I read a stat that University of Pittsburgh, due to this, their tuition went up 15% for fall.
Yeah, that's insane.
So,
but they know people will pay.
Yeah, which is whack. so whack.
Via loans, yeah. I mean, people are basically enslaving themselves. I graduated college, I'll be honest, with a shit ton of debt. And when I came back, I was in Europe when I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
My last semester was in Spain. I came back and I was working, you talk about wage slave jobs. I was working the shittiest BS office job in Chicago, and I was miserable. And I had all this fucking debt. All my boys are gone. There's no frat to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
I hate my life.
That
I think a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Keep going. I have a point.
It's fucking terrible, and I found a way out.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and that's a different story. But I think a lot of people end up in that situation, and they're like, "Fuck, what do I do now? I spent 4 years partying. Now I have a job I hate and all this debt. What do I do?"
Do you remember Stud?
I don't know. Maybe
Anon account. Okay. Long way back, but anyway, I think he just deleted his account like a month ago. Anyway, Stud and I were talking about college and how, like, psychologically we're thinking of it like this: like, you go to college and you experience so much unbelievable hedonism and a lack of responsibility that it, like, those 4 years, they change your mind of how life is going to be, and like all the highs and the pleasures and whatnot. And you get out of college, and the first thing you do is get to this like wage slave shill, like horrid job. Everybody's gone. You're working, 40, 60 hours a week or whatever, and all those highs just disappear. All those amazing moments, all that hedonism just goes away in an instant. And then now the only thing you have looking forward to is the weekend, where you can finally relive a bit of that college experience. Oh, I can drink again. Oh, I can get with some people again. Oh, I can get on Tinder again, right?
That's how it is for so many people, dude. Totally.
It's like, their lives are. You come out of college into this much less interesting real world. Reality slaps you in the face that you've kind of been living in like a fantasy for the past 4 years, and now you have to take control of things. But a lot of people just don't. They just let it happen.
I mean, it's like crippling. It's like, okay, what do I do? I took a major that didn't give me many options.
Mm-hmm.
I had this job that pays 50 or 60 grand a year, and I've got 100 grand in debt. You're basically trapped. Like, I think so many kids, one, have no idea how to take an entrepreneurial risk at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, that is a massive risk because you have all this debt you have to service. You have to pay this shit off. So It's a horrible situation to be in. I think kids get FOMO because they see everyone going to college when they're 18. It is obviously fun, depending on where you go. And there is a lot of hedonism, so you get sucked into going.
My two buddies went to Chapman University, and they have there's I don't know what the website was. It was like the hottest girls in college or something. And Chapman's #1, so they're going off.
Good for them. I mean, that's not a bad metric to base your school choice off of.
Honestly, not really. Not really.
Classes are mostly a waste of time.
Yeah.
I went to a top 20 U.S. university. It was a good school, and I was a STEM major. And still, I don't use any of this shit today. It wasn't really helpful, but I was a statistics major and did all this stuff that was seemingly important, and
seemingly important
for light quote unquote credentials and all that shit. But now I'm looking back, like, what was the fucking point? I made good connections. A lot of my frat bros are still good friends, and have hooked me up with good business opportunities. But in terms of the actual class experience, it's a waste.
It's very overrated in that regard. I hear a lot of people.
Right.
I hear a lot of people with the same opinions that, like, the actual college experience in quotes is very overrated. It's more about like, if you use it, if you have to go to college, like, you go in there, try to get as fast as you can with as little as debt, and try to make as many high level connections as you possibly can.
Yeah, I agree. And if you can, like, study abroad, I would do that. It's a great experience.
Yeah, that's
a good way to meet foreign people. Like, I studied abroad in Madrid. I went alone. I had no friends. I met tons of people from all over the world. That was really my first experience internationally.
Yeah.
Solo. So I'm very happy I had that experience for a semester. That was really cool.
See, something like that. That's like the one benefit I could see of college is if you're able to study abroad, because you're kind of able to go to you're able to go to a completely new place, but you're still like, you still have the routine of the school, so it's not like dropping everything and going out there completely alone with nothing. You still have like the routine and the connection to school, but you're able to experience a completely new culture, completely new city, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's an added element of safety with a university. Like, I went alone my semester, but if I went to Europe alone, normally there would be no one to like, be there for me if shit hit the fan. Like, my parents weren't there. I didn't know anybody. So having like a school system to kind of back me up, like, okay, I actually got, I lived with a family in Spain, and they had two sons around my age who were just total degenerates. Like, the parents would leave, these kids would be drinking and smoking with like their sketchy friends. And it turned out that we had like a huge fight one day, all in Spanish, and my Spanish was kind of broken and shit. But I ended up leaving, and I was like on the streets of Madrid. Like, where the fuck do I go? So I had to like call this. I had to book a hotel. And the school helps me out and shit. But if I was in Europe, like alone and shit hit the fan as a 20-year-old, I think for a lot of kids that'd be scary. So I appreciated the university like kind of being like a backstop for safety reasons. But yeah.
What did you find about Madrid itself? Did you like it? Did you? What were your thoughts?
I loved it. I loved it. I love Spain. So I've tweeted about this. I'm not sure if you've seen these tweets from a while ago, but I started taking Spanish classes when I was in like 7th, 8th grade, and through high school. And I was like, literally, I kid you not, my motivation was because I loved two things. One, girls who speak Spanish, and like reggaeton, like Spanish music.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to study it in college and hopefully go abroad. So I ended up going to Madrid for mostly that reason.
Spanish women alone is not a bad reason.
Yeah, no, I was a forward thinker. When I was 12, I was like, all these cute girls. I live in like kind of there's a big Latino population. So I was like, all these cute girls speak Spanish. Like, I got to learn Spanish. So, for real. And then Madrid is beautiful. I liked it a lot. I had a great time. I think like the going out nightlife culture there compared to, in my opinion, like the Bay Area, San Francisco, Madrid is way fucking cooler. And I think people are just more laid back. Like, everyone, it shocks me how much people like drank and smoked during the day. Like, it was like a work day. People are out drinking at lunch, smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, dude, people in America are not doing this. Like, if you go around Chicago, well, I guess maybe, but
maybe Chicago,
maybe a little bit, but it's in general, it's a more laid back culture.
Yes. Yeah, I've noticed that, like, med life, like I do you know Martin Ehrlich, the seal oil guy?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he'll tell me about Croatia and whatnot, and just how absolutely chill it is. Like, how his grandpa won't work for 3 years, and then he'll get a job that'll pay him for like 20 years of living expenses, and then he'll just relax for a bit. It's just like, what is this?
Incredible.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
it seems beautiful. I didn't go when I was in Europe.
Yeah,
it seems beautiful from pictures I've seen.
He said that if you go there, you can only visit because, like, he said even he will have when he goes there in whatever end of the year to do his olive oil business, he will have a hard time assimilating because he's Canadian Croatian, and not a like a born in Croatian Croat. So he said if you have no Croatian roots and you try to move there, you will suffer. It will not be a fun time.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Like,
you can't buy land. You can't, like, people treat you nice, but if you need to, like, if you want to, like, excel and, like, get deep in it, they won't let you, which is very funny.
That's interesting, but I'm not surprised it's such a pristine country now. They have really strict standards for who's allowed in, who can stay in.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty smart.
Yeah, you gotta have those standards. If you're just like taking a look at the map of Europe, right, and you could just like, you're making your 10K a month from selling your Gumroad ebooks, and you're all chill, right? Like, all your little e-commerce dreams are chill, and your fidget spinners are drop shipping around the world and whatnot, and all that's fine. Like, where would you plop your little house down?
It's a very good question. Well, I would travel a lot, so I think I'd be like nomadic in Europe if I could. I do like the south of Spain, like Andalusia. I liked Malaga a lot. It's a smaller city. I think it has like 500,000 people, but it's beautiful, low cost of living. It's on the beach, like awesome plazas. Madrid is also very cool. I would live in Madrid.
Do you know where there's that Marabella place? That's where Dorian Yates lives now.
Yes, I never went there actually. I know it's a big like party city. Though. People go there to like party and stuff. I did not go there.
I want to like I've seen so many pictures of it. It looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like have you ever been to San Clemente in Southern California, Orange County?
I have not.
Okay, it looks like San Clemente. We're basically just like beautiful architecture, really close to the ocean, just greenery everywhere, and like I just absolutely I see those pictures and it just makes me be like America is not the most beautiful country in its cities. In the towns and stuff, like a lot of it's lacking compared to Europe.
Architecturally, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Like the American continent is stunning. Like there's some of the great this country is so underrated in terms of what the beauty that it holds in the national parks and the expanses and whatnot, the mountain ranges and the rivers and lakes and all that stuff. But in terms of just the city architecture, no, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I agree. We've tried to make everything as efficient as possible. There's no room for art like there is in Europe and other parts of the world. I think it's kind of bland.
Yeah, I mean it's also newer buildings too. We have our country's new, and our industrialism only started like halfway through our country's life cycle. So, we didn't have time to like build the stone brick human scale cities that Europe had. We were just like straight into cars, straight into
Right, yeah.
brutalism.
They have so much more history there.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah. And there's only like there's some places in Boston and the northeast areas that they still have some colonial era. Like I was even walking around Philadelphia with Pat Stedman, and there was a couple streets that were just like cobblestone, old brick buildings, like really cool stuff.
Yeah, I love that about Philly. I love that feeling. All the founding fathers were there. Like that's a really historic place to be. I like that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm reading a big book on American history right now, and I'm just like, when I'm thinking back at all the places that when I go to, I know DC is like a dark energy portal and all that stuff, but even when you go there, you're like, this is cool. This is cool.
Yeah. Well, all the history there, all the important people, all the history, it is cool.
Yeah, yeah. Do you right now? So you being in Chicago and whatnot, and you live in the Bay Area, correct?
Correct. I'm in Soy Francisco in that area.
Why the hell would like every time I hear someone who's there who's not soy, it's always job related. Is that why?
It is job related. So here is the story.
Okay.
Like I said, I was working peak wage slave job back in early 2019.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot be doing this. I didn't want to just take another job because I was like, it'll be more or less the same shit. I got to get out. So my game plan, I kind of planned this out, was to just fly to Miami and start handing out resume. And I mean at bars and stuff, like a restaurant job, not like a corporate job. So I knew literally zero people down there. Besides Lobo and I had DM'd a little bit.
Yeah.
So I called out of work, and this was like in July or August of last year. Called out of work and said I'm sick. Flew to Miami, and I was looking at bars to bartend. And Lobo had some connections down there, and he was like, "Hey, I can introduce you to people, whatever." He was very helpful.
Good guy,
So I
Lobo.
was like, "Fuck it." What?
Good guy, Lobo.
He's a great guy. And I was at a very low point in my life. I was like 21 years old. I was totally lost. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking miserable. I was commuting 2 hours a day back and forth, working this shitty job. And my mind was in a very dark place. And I went down there for a weekend, and we hung out. We went out a couple times. And it was like, kind of like paradigm shifting to be around him. And he was in a very similar situation. He was my age, 22, working a job, I believe, in New York. And he quit, went down there in a snowstorm to Miami.
Yeah, that's what he told me. Yeah.
And it's interesting that his mindset was like, I just want to be around successful people. If I can get around successful people, I know I have enough to bring to the table where, someone will give me a job, someone will take me under the wing, something will happen. And his story about Equinox, which he told you, is an awesome story. And, I connected with it deeply because my mindset was the same. I got to be around successful people. I was working, with a bunch of quote unquote normies, and in my opinion, people that are basically losers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I got to get around winners. Spent a weekend with Lobo, and my mindset kind of shifted, and I was like, okay, I'll work at a high-end bar in Miami. I can make this work. I'll do e-commerce. I can, make enough money to live at least. And then, believe it or not, I tweeted about it. I was like, I quit my job. It was making me miserable, blah, blah, blah. I got a DM from a guy I had known previously. I hadn't talked to him in a couple of years, but he was like, hey, bro, I know you just quit your job, but I have this opportunity out in California, and it's working more or less exclusively with high net worth individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something you would consider? So I was like, okay, maybe. I don't want to go back in the corporate world. I ended up flying out there and interviewing, and it's a smaller company.
Yeah.
It's only 50 or 60 employees. I did not want to be like in a big Fortune 500 like monstrosity company where everyone's a cog in the machine.
Everyone is a number.
Yeah, that's how it feels, man. So it was very personal. I like the people a lot.
But you get such good benefits, it's just so good. You get the employee cafe. It's so nice.
It's a lie. Yeah, it's all a lie to suck you in. So
I may only make $60,000 a year, but I get a gym membership.
It's how they suck you in, man. People, get hooked on like healthcare benefits and fucking 401ks and stuff.
They don't want to. They don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you with money, so they entice you with things that are not money, instead of just giving you a higher salary.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, they're trying to cut costs and make things as efficient as possible on their end as well. So to them, you're a liability as an employee, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I flew out there, and I really liked it. It was a startup company, relatively new, and it's employee owned. So all the employees had equity, so I knew how much of the company, like X% I would be basically owning.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, you know what, this is a way cooler opportunity than being in Miami bartending. Even though it sounds fun as fuck, but I was like, I can't turn this down.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now. It's finance related.
Cool.
And it's good people. It's cool. It's it's still like the grind. I'm working like 60-hour weeks and shit. So I'm not gonna pretend like it's like I've made it and it's all rainbows and shit. But for right now, it's cool. I enjoy what I'm doing. Is it my long-term plan to be in like the finance world, doing these crazy weeks forever? Absolutely not. I would like to get back to Miami or Latin America for the reasons I stated earlier, girls and culture, music.
Yeah.
So I'm there right now, dude. California, like Silicon Valley area for business connections is awesome. I met up with Du and Callicrides out there, and I think they're kind of in the same boat. I know Callicrides, he hates San Francisco because it's soy, dude. It's a soy city, and it's like run by liberals who make bad policies and stuff. So I don't think it's a great place to be.
I was
long term.
So I did a documentary shoot with a prominent Canadian. You know Stefan Molyneux?
Hell yeah. Dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did a documentary with Stefan Molyneux. I just kind of assisted with it. Basically just like about the decline of California. And that's what I was shooting. And I think Stefan Molyneux's kind of whack now. He's just kind of weird. But the actual shoot was fun. Because I got to see like deep LA and I got to see deep San Francisco for the first time in my life. And I was blown away at San Francisco. I thought the homeless stuff was a lie. Like I didn't think that was as bad as it was. And then I get there and I'm like, it is as bad.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. It is more or less quarantined to like the one area, Tenderloin. If you go to nicer neighborhoods, it's not so prevalent. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of a broken city, man.
Do you think do you think that the people who live outside San Francisco who call it like one of the worst cities ever is that some hyperbole you think from living in it, or is it really like one of the worst cities in America?
Well, just quick disclaimer, I don't actually live in the city. I'm in the burbs.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
I can't speak to living in the city itself.
Gotcha.
I've been there a decent amount. I think it's definitely totally wrong. I get a weird vibe in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. It just kind of creeps me out.
Yeah, the energy
is weird. It's a weird energy, man. I don't think I could live there. I think Chicago is better other than the weather sucks here. Miami is way better.
I was
Um,
the exact same way with the energy. I felt so strange walking around the city. So
yeah, it's hard to
strange.
explain, but it's kind of dark. I feel like I don't know.
It's
Maybe it's just me.
it's like a very like angry energy throughout the whole city. You can feel it. You can definitely feel it.
Yeah, it's a weird demographic. There's
Like
some weird characters on the
L.
streets of San Francisco.
Have you been to Los Angeles?
I actually have not. I've lived
Oh,
in California for almost a year, and I've been too fucking lazy to go south, which is
okay.
pathetic.
Okay. Well, you should come down, brother. We should hang
Yeah,
out.
I should.
You should skip LA and come down to San Diego, and we'll hang out. But LA has a very different energy than San Francisco, even though like policy wise it's pretty much the same. LA's energy is much more. It's more like chaotic and fun in a sense. Like that's how I describe it. San Francisco, it's like just dark and like creepy, and you feel like the city is gonna explode any minute. Like there's just a sense of impending doom. But with LA, it's like a ride the decline kind of feeling, where it's like, okay, everything's chaotic, everyone's on drugs, let's just go, let's go.
I feel like LA's a really good time.
Yeah, it's
So
fun to
I
go
think I'm
there.
trying to live there.
Yeah, it's fun to go there for bursts. I go up there for networking and for doing a little bit of stuff. But man, it is the second I get back down, I'm like, whew, glad that's over.
Dude, that's the way to do it, is to pop in and out of big cities. Like, I think living in a big city full time is not good for mental health.
No,
But if you can
no.
pop in, party a little bit, meet some people, meet some girls, get out, that's perfect.
Go to the city, get the city girl, bring her to the country.
I think that's more or less the plan, dude. Get a fucking compound where, like, some forests, some streams, a
Yeah.
couple beautiful girls. That would be the dream. That'd be really cool.
Montana and Wyoming. I think those are the future. That's the future right there. Montana,
Whatever it
Wyoming,
takes to get away.
Utah, probably Colorado, maybe. I don't know, but I think that's the future right there. Just making a compound next to some river with some women, some mates, relaxing, loving.
Yeah, man. I think people want to get out of the rat race of big cities. I think the work from home stuff is going to change things dramatically.
Yeah.
I think people want more quality of life. I think we as a country just move so fucking fast, especially if you're in New York, Chicago, LA, any of these big cities. It's like go, go, go all the time. I think people are worn out, dude. I think a lot of people want to change.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle life it just grinds you down. It really just grinds you down. And I think, deeper into the whole entrepreneur culture, I think the hustle and grind culture itself is just it's not healthy, and it makes you, like I was talking to Du about this, and you probably got this too, where you attach your values to what you produce rather than what you are as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Entrepreneur culture. I mean, I'm not that old, but I think it's taken a weird twist in recent years where everyone's like flexing the grind nonstop.
Yeah.
It's definitely unhealthy. It's
Like
unhealthy for sure.
Like what happened is just chilling and like helping people and keeping low key. Like I realize that the biggest guys on Twitter are the guys who flex the absolute least. Like you don't hear about them. They tweet every once in a while. They have a few hundred followers, not a few thousand.
Yeah, follower count really means nothing. I mean, there are
Yeah.
accounts that have 10,000 followers that are amazing, accounts that have 1,000 followers that I think are not that good. So it's really a case-by-case thing. And some people have messages that just like don't resonate with the masses. I know Lobo said that. He's like, dude, I could never get to 100,000 followers because I couldn't chill, no offense to like Ed Lattimore, like platitudes and shit like that, to get to that size. Like, he's too controversial. He's too opinionated to get that big of a following. I think that applies to a lot of people. And you don't want to have, I mean, unless you're selling shit, and Lobo's not, a lot of guys don't. They just want to provide value to young men who are lost.
They just want to get a group of killers. They just want to recruit their
And
network.
the thing is, it works too. I've met a bunch of guys on Twitter when I was in Madrid, in Miami, in Chicago, in California. It's always been fucking great. They're guys we can talk to about, all the things we tweet about. And it's funny, the way I think of our Twitter space is like an online fraternity. You know,
Yeah.
there's tons of guys, and people have different interests. You know, and some guys are into different things. But I think a lot of us are more or less on the same page, even though there's Twitter beef, people don't like each other. I think we're still like in terms of the broad society, we're our own little niche.
Dude, freaking yeah. Twitter is high school, honestly. It is a college or a high school sort of thing because you have the cliques and you have the memes and the cliques and everyone's dunking on each other and like we're all in this but we're all in the same domain, right? We're all in the same like university, we're all in the same Twitter, we're on the same app.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
But I think it does translate over to real life and help people out a lot. I know a lot of lives have been changed. I can think of a couple guys, Nate Dean, who I tweet about his course a lot, Lobo,
Is that
other guys
Chronicles?
that I've
Is
met.
that Chronicles and Eight? Okay.
Chronicles Nate or
Uh,
Chronicles of Nate. I've actually never met him in real life, but I've probably had 100 phone calls with him. And he's a good friend of mine now. I can't wait
yeah,
to meet him.
dude.
And there's countless examples like that.
That's the funny thing. So, Dew lives in my city, right? He lives in my town, and I've never met him, but we've had like 50 phone calls, and we keep trying to get together and go have lunch, but he keeps having these like sales calls he has to do. Um, but it's really
He's a
funny.
busy guy.
Yeah, yeah, no, he is. It's funny how, um, you know, it's funny how you could just build these connections and then you meet them in real life and you're like, wow, interesting people. Wow, like people that talk about the things that we talk about on Twitter all day. Wow, like there's more of us.
It's fucking dope, man. There are accounts and people out there that you spiritually and like mentally vibe with before you meet them, and then you go meet them. Like, dude, I fucking like this guy. You
Yeah.
know,
And
every guy I've met from Twitter, I've had a great time with. We've
and
gotten along really
well
well.
and that's what I love too is that Twitter you can I'm going to say this is that Twitter is the best dating app because and I'm not talking about just like sexual dating but like just getting people together, right? Because you're tweeting your deep thoughts, you're having banter, people are seeing your vibe, people are seeing your content. And then it's not like a dating app where you have to put up a little fake profile and take your little pictures and fuck around. Like people are just seeing you. Like, what are you talking about? What do you like to do? What is your content? What is your vibe? And then you know exactly who you want to hang out with. And then you can skip all the weird like trying to find people that you connect with and are cool with, and then you realize they're kind of like dorks in a lot of areas, and you just don't want to hang out with them. And you can just like immediately meet with people that you'll vibe with.
Yeah, you're totally correct. In many ways, you know, your Twitter post it's really you, and people get to know you as a real person. I think a lot of people, honestly, and maybe not just in our circle of Twitter, feel like their Twitter friends maybe even know them on a different level than their real life friends because you can't talk about a lot of this shit with normal people.
No.
Conspiracy theories, the raw egg shit, weird fringe dietary
Yeah.
preferences, political leanings, and shit like that. So
Which is
it's
awful. It's stupid, but it is what it is.
a lot of people just don't care, man. So I think a lot of us have found our little niche of people we can connect with, and um, we're all after the same kind of stuff: money, girls, freedom, quality of life, doing meaningful work.
Yeah, philosophies, esoterica, all that good stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hunting, and making a big network is. I think network is so much more important than a follower count. That's what I'm tilting my focus towards. Business is done in the DMs. Business is not done in the TL. Like if your business is a TL based business, you're not gonna last very long. But if you're a DM based relationship business where you're working with you're connecting with other high level individuals consistently, that is how you're gonna succeed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the TL is a good way to advertise. I don't mean a product, but who you are. I've had guys who have like 100 followers reach out to me. I never would have seen their shit, but we've connected, and they've ended up being far more successful than me,
Hmm.
and kind of taken me under their wing.
Yeah.
And they saw my tweets and were like, "Hey man, I like what you have to say. Maybe we should grab a beer sometime."
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to get to know people based on what they're posting.
Well,
But yeah, you're right. It does go down in the DMs, and connections are really made, real friendships and business opportunities.
what I found too is that like you said, like one of the guys that I've followed for a while. I'm not going to put his at here because he's very private, but I think his account's even privated, so whatever. But he's a German guy, and I've like way back when I started Twitter, I used to follow it purely for like gaming news and to follow like esports and stuff like that. And I found him there, and I don't know how we connected. Like it's just one of those things that just kind of happened. I just think I just messaged him and annoyed him too much. But he turned into like an absolute mentor, way more than he's shaped my psyche more than my parents have probably.
See, it's those people you'd never expect.
Yeah.
Just some random guy on Twitter who ends up talking to you. He starts teaching you a little bit. It's those connections that really change your life.
Yeah, hugely. It's unreal, and like that's why this app is useful. It's not because I can make as much money as I want from here, but that one connection made this whole app useful. I'm forever grateful for that one connection to be made, and I think the end game with Twitter, I think, is to amass enough people and get your life to the point where it's so good to where you don't need to log on to Twitter. You have all your friends, in your WhatsApp, in your contacts. You don't need to keep tweeting to find them.
I think you're right. I do think Twitter for a lot of people is entertaining. It's like a smoke break. I check Twitter to relax sometimes.
Yeah.
I like seeing what people are posting. So I'd rather use that for entertainment than like some soy TV show. I'd rather just mindlessly scroll through the TL and see people's funny memes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also good for those purposes, not just necessarily connections, but it's good entertainment. Obviously, don't get sucked into the drama too much, but there's a lot of entertaining shit. And, I like to hear what people in our sphere have to say about world events and current happenings more than, anybody else, really.
Now,
I'm not talking to my real life friends and stuff too often.
Yeah. Is your real life circle good, or do you feel like kind of restricted with what you can talk about with them?
I would say it's good. There's been some overlap. I mean, when I initially got on Twitter, well, first of all, I never thought I'd have a significant following, but that was years ago. But I wanted to keep it separate. Like I just, I follow people. I don't bring in, my real life friends, and then it's kind of happened where a lot of people that I know follow my Twitter. People that I've connected with on Twitter, I've met in real life. So now there's a lot of overlap between my Twitter friends and real life friends. I think my circle is good. I've got connections all over the place, and I'm happy with the people that I do talk to about things. If I ever have problems in my life, I've got people I can reach out to.
Oh, yeah.
So, but in terms of like my buddies from high school and college, I think a lot of them are not interested in this kind of stuff. I have a lot of smart friends, but maybe they're not into the kind of stuff that we are.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is. We just grow apart. And they do their thing, you do your thing, but that's how it is. Now, we got to wrap up this cast pretty soon, but I have one more thing that I'd like to talk about, and it's something I'm confused as hell about, and it's something that I think a lot of people are really interested in, and that's infinite banking.
Infinite banking, yeah.
And
yes.
I saw you had a video with it. Can you... for the good people listening to this cast, can you give a summary on what the hell infinite banking is and how it's beneficial?
Yes, infinite banking is, in short, a personal finance strategy that allows you to earn interest on money that you're spending normally. Okay, so that probably sounds complex or confusing, but what me and Nate and other people do is we basically funnel money through whole life insurance. Okay, and why is that? And it all has to do, the crux of the concept and the crux of my video is that it's about the way it's collateralized. Okay, so I buy, for example, $10,000 worth of life insurance, and I pay every year. I pay $10,000 a year insurance.
Okay.
Most people, ordinary people, are thinking about life insurance like, okay, what if I die? I want my family to be taken care of. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking, how can I maximize the amount of money in this insurance policy? Because the insurance policy grows, okay? On average, like you saw in the video, 4 to 5% a year. Okay, so is it great returns? No, but you think of it like a bank, okay? Now, the reason it's unique is because it's collateralized with your death benefit. Now, what do I mean by that? So say I put in $10,000, okay? I immediately take out that $10,000 via a loan. Okay, so the insurance company actually gives me that $10,000, and it's not the original $10,000 I put in. The original $10,000 I put in is going to grow at roughly 4% a year.
Mm-hmm.
That $10,000 loan is coming from the death benefit. Okay, so they say, okay, you pay a premium every year,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to guarantee you some death benefit when you die. Okay, but they're willing to loan me a certain amount of money from that death benefit while I'm still alive. So what does that allow me to do? It allows me to put in money, earn interest on it, and still spend it. So the reason I say this is the perfect investment, this is so good, it's because you can couple it with any other investment. People who do real estate, people who traditional stocks and bonds, if you're into crypto. What I do is, and I'm doing this right now actually with crypto because I'm buying a lot of Bitcoin and I'm using it from whole life insurance loans. I funnel money through whole life insurance. I take it out via a loan and I spend it on other assets, on expenses, whatever. What makes infinite banking different than ordinary life insurance policies, and a lot of misinformation about whole life insurance in general, because whole life insurance, as it's traditionally sold, is a massive scam. And I'll give you concrete numbers to explain that. When I pay my $10,000 a year policy, if I was buying strictly whole life insurance, 100% of that money in year one would go to fees. So I pay $10,000, it all goes to fees. So the agent, my agent is Nate, and the insurance company would take all that money.
Yeah.
Okay, and there would be $0 that I could loan back to myself. What infinite banking does is we say, okay, there's something called a paid up additions rider, which is just a fancy insurance term, which just means instead of buying insurance, you're getting money into the investment part of the insurance. Okay, so it really has nothing to do with insurance. We're using this as an investment. Okay, the insurance part is just the way it's collateralized. And this is obviously kind of a complex concept. Which
my mind is like, what right now?
Yeah. It's taking me. When
So
I first heard this from Nate, I was like, dude, I don't understand this. I spent a lot of time researching it because it's kind of complex, especially if you're not familiar with life insurance.
So like you said, like it's not really about insurance on your life. It's more of just, it's kind of like hijacking that system to get interest returns on, right?
Correct. It's all about the way it's collateralized.
Okay, so
and it's about the fact that it's a death benefit payout.
And that's why you call it infinite banking and not insurance banking or something like that, because you're just using that method. You're just using the insurance method to get the money, but you're not actually, it has nothing to do with like planning if you die or something like that.
Well, that's an added benefit. I certainly like the fact that I have a lot of life insurance, so if something happens to me, my family's taken care of.
Yeah.
But I would not be doing this for the insurance itself.
Huh.
So I put all the money, as much money as I can, into life insurance policies, and I look back to myself.
So, can we do can you run me through like an example? Say let's just use a very small amount. Say like I put in $100 to this policy at the end of 2020, right? I pay $100. So then there's a 5% return, you said? 4 or 5?
Yeah, it depends on interest rates and what bonds are paying and other financial instruments, but it's around 4 or 5%.
Okay. So next year I have 105, correct?
No. So here's
okay.
where it gets confusing.
Okay.
So there are fees up front.
Okay.
So traditionally when you invest in stocks or bonds, there's an expense on the AUM, on the total assets that you're investing. With insurance, all the fees are up front. Okay. So if you were to make an infinite banking policy and you were to pay $100 at the end of this year, you would only have $60. So 40 of those dollars would go to the insurance company / your insurance agent. They would split it roughly. Okay. Versus if you were buying just an ordinary policy, 100% of that money would go to the insurance company and the agent. The difference is that with the infinite banking policy, you're not getting very much life insurance. Why? Because we're not doing this for life insurance. We're, jacking up the investment portion and reducing the death benefit. Okay. Why is it $60? Well, there's a legal limit to how much you can put in the investment before it's not classified as life insurance.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that 60 number probably seemed arbitrary, but it's not. Some people go a little bit higher, but there is risk.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of debate regarding what's the correct percentage to do. But we do, on the conservative side, 60. Some people do 70, but we do 60. And what that does is it shortens the J curve. Okay, so people who do like real estate investments will understand this. A J curve you think about the letter J.
Mm-hmm.
If you invest in something, the first couple of years it's going down. You're actually losing money.
Yeah.
So these infinite banking policies, in the first 4, 5, 6 years, you're losing money because you're paying these fees.
Right.
What happens is, in year 5, fees stop. Okay, so you put in $100, and $100 appears in the cash value of the account.
Right.
Okay. So what you can do now is you can take that $100, loan it back to yourself, and it's going to earn that 5% a year. Okay.
That part's confusing to me. So how do you loan something to yourself?
It's all because of what that $100 is buying. So you put in $100 after year 5.
Okay.
The fees are done.
Okay.
Okay. And you have, say, $1 million in death benefit.
Okay.
Right. So the insurance company says, okay, we're going to keep that $100 you paid us invested, and it's going to grow normally, just fine. But because we have this $1 million payout to you in the future, we're willing to loan you that money now. Okay, so they'll give you $100, and if you were to die,
so
you get $1 million minus 100.
So you get but if you're alive, you get 100 now, and then you keep that 100 inside that keeps getting interest, right?
Correct.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
all about the way it's put out.
So it's
about the death benefit.
Yeah. So it's about building up that death benefit. So now the banking part comes together. Okay. Oh, that's legit. That is legit.
Right. So you think about this, like I'll put in, this year 30, 40, 50 grand. I'm paying a lot of that because I just started these last year. I'm paying a lot of that in fees.
Right.
Okay, by year 5, say I'm putting in, just for, assumption, 50 grand.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not losing any money for fees anymore. So I'm funneling in the money one for one, taking it out, and it's still earning that 5%. Is this free money? No, it's not free money. It's just coming out of a future death benefit payout. So that's why it works. It's not a way to get rich quick, but it's a phenomenal long-term investment strategy.
Yeah, like if you're going to be doing this anyway, like why not,
Exactly. Literally the only downside is the fee.
Yeah.
So you bite the bullet, you pay fees right now. And the way I'm doing it, rather than putting, all my money in right now, I'm going to stagger these policies. So I'll add a policy every year, every whatever, to reduce the steepness of that J curve, of the fees. Okay?
Yeah.
So, if I have $1 million in death benefit, in cash value, and I have maybe $10 million in death benefit, it's some multiple of cash value.
Yeah.
I'd be earning like 50 grand a year from interest, even if all of that money I've loaned back to myself. So that's why it's amazing. That's why I tweet about it a lot.
Wow.
It's a tough concept to wrap your brain around.
Yeah.
It's advertised really poorly for a couple of reasons, and I can explain to people that are wondering. One is there were law changes in the 80s called MEC laws, Modified Endowment Contract, which basically made it a lot stricter regarding the terms of what you can put in. Because previously, people were just funneling money through these life insurance policies. It was quote unquote, it was life insurance quotes, but it was really just a way to avoid taxes. And all this growth, by the way.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It's a huge deal.
Why are you putting $10 million in your life insurance policy? I'm banking. What?
Exactly. Yeah. The government was like, you can't do this anymore. So they shut it down. I mean, you can still do it. It's still good. I think it's still the best option for long-term, outlook, but it's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
And then also, insurance companies don't really advertise this. Why? One is because infinite banking policies do not pay that much money. They pay, on average, 2.5 times less in fees than traditional whole life insurance policies. So why would you sell it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like the secret menu. It's like offered and they can make it, but they don't want to, and they don't advertise that they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it only works with certain insurance companies, not every insurance company offers this.
Right.
I won't get too technical for you, but there's a lot of nuance, dude. The world of insurance. I used to work in insurance.
Bro, just make your own insurance company. Hustle and grind.
That's something I don't want to do. It sounds like a big headache. But I use Nate and his partner Brandon, and they're fantastic. Anyone who's listening to this, I recommend talking to them. And they're happy to run the numbers with you, explain the concept. There's some really good books out there too that break it down.
That sounds legit. That sounds legit, brother.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. I spent a couple months just diving into these like life insurance textbooks, literally. My friends were like, "Dude, are you okay? Like, what the hell is going on?"
See, like it sounds like it literally sounds like one of those like pyramid scheme scams. Just like
it sounds super scammy
on superficially. But once you break it down, like I told it now, I understand it way more now. It's kind of just gaming the system a bit, and it's not really like super structured and like codified and all this stuff. You're kind of like playing with a bunch of different pieces, but if you work it together, it's amazing returns.
It's absolutely gaming the system. I thought it was really scammy at first too, dude. When I first was introduced to Nate, I was very much turned off. I thought he was kind of like an e-com or like a guru, Twitter guru type guy who was like shilling some BS.
Yeah, well,
like, what is it? What is this guy now?
Yeah, I saw he was affiliated with Chris Johnson. We know how that turned out.
Right.
And so and if you notice too, this is kind of funny. Everybody that was affiliated with Chris Johnson just isn't now. Like everyone that was
he
doing.
blocked me a long time ago, so I don't know what the fuck he posts. But
everyone was doing like the Ridge Market stuff and all that, and then he just boop. I don't work with who's Chris Johnson? Who's that guy? I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't necessarily condone Nate's connection with him, and I don't really comment. But
yeah,
I can vouch for what Nate is doing, his practice. He's a great guy to work with.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I just dropped him a follow today, and while I was watching your video on infinite banking. So definitely something I want to look into, and definitely something that I hope all the viewers look into. JP, do you have anything you'd like to end off on before we head out? Any words of wisdom, advice, musings, anything?
I just want to say, first of all, thanks to you for having me on the show. And everybody else, like, stay the course. I know this is kind of a crazy time in the world for everybody, and who knows how the future will be, but stay strong. Build solid friendships, and develop a firm foundation for yourself and your life.
There we go. Boom, boom. JP, it was great having you here. And tune in. We're taking a break on Sunday, but we'll be back on Monday for a great week of newcasts on Arthaus. We'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Thanks, man.